I hope this stays put. Record video is on my left, aka it will upload correctly. Jumping in today. Today is day 40, sobriety, and I called into our employee assistant program line, which I've never done before because I needed help right away. It is daunting to need so much support, and I'm reminded that I am learning how to cope, learning really to live in a different way than I have in a really long time. 4 years, at least 4 years I've been drinking heavily, maybe longer than that if I were to really take a dive into it. And learning a new coping mechanism is difficult. I have always felt underlying pressure, and that's what I'm kind of this thought process today is pressure and irritability, and they seem to stem hand in hand. And again, I'm trying to make sense of it. Hence all of my random notes everywhere. But I felt as if the individual I spoke to on the employee assistant line was very helpful and pointed out and asked some good questions. So I came in very agitated. I've been agitated for quite some time. I like the way that she wrote irritable, because that's what it seems to be, is almost this background of irritability. And she said, does something trigger it, or is it kind of always there? And I had to admit that it's always there, which is good. I guess the more I know, the more I can figure out solutions. And so this irritability is always there. And with that irritability, I can ignore it a lot of the times, or tell myself, hey, just wait till 5 when you're off work and you can have a drink, maybe 4. And if meetings are over, then maybe you start at 3 and you can take the edge off for the remaining hours of the workday and get through it that way. And I no longer have that peace of mind, not peace of mind, but kind of that hope, that excitement to look forward to. And I chose this. So I can't say it's been taken away, but I am recognizing that that was something I looked forward to. What kind of helped me with that irritability was like, okay, we can get through this, make it to X, Y, and Z time, and you'll be good. And yes, I am drinking. Drinking. Rockstars are my favorite. This one, old school one, and I'm drinking it with a coffee little straw. Probably doesn't help my heartburn that I keep feeling, but it's fine. Makes me happy. So I'm feeling this irritability, and kind of, she asked me to take a step back. Where does this irritability come from? And I think it comes from pressure. Lots of pressure. And I said, I'm not showing up for other people the way I want to. I'm not showing up for other people, including my kids, which is the most important one, the way that I want to, the way that I feel like I need to, the way that I should, the way that I see other people show up. And yes, my kids are the most important, but I want good relationships in my life. So there is this pressure that I feel because it feels as if I'm failing. And she stated, have you received feedback regarding pressure? Or regarding, you know, how you're showing up? Like, has work brought anything up? Has your family mentioned anything? Have your friends mentioned anything? And I was like, no, they haven't, which is a good realization that a lot of this pressure is coming from internal. But there's also the thought, which I guess is internal as well, that people know I'm crazy. They're not going to ask for me to show up any differently than how I'm not. They're not going to ask for anything more because they know that I'm insane. So of course they're not going to give me feedback. Well, that is an assumption on my part. And I guess there is a little bit of relief in knowing that this pressure that I'm feeling is a lot of it, all of it is self-inflicted. Hard because I don't understand why. And I don't understand how to overcome it yet. Because this is probably the first time that I'm looking at the actual root cause, right? Drinking wasn't necessarily the issue. Drinking was the issue. But drinking actually, I'm a high bottom drunk, I would say. My rock bottom's higher, but my life has become unmanageable. And some of the dark thoughts that I have, they do scare me. So, hence sobriety. But drinking wasn't my issue, but drinking stopped me from really reflecting. And so now I'm left reflecting on years of life, right? Because before it was drinking, I had other methods and I was young. I don't feel as if I could process and speak to all of the emotions that I have as clearly as I can now. So part of it just comes with age, and I'm a fucking analyzer. But long story short, well, it's not gonna get short. You're not done with me quite yet. But regardless, drinking used to get me out of this place I'm at, right? This head place. And I didn't have to think about it. I could just do it another day. And I did. I did that for years. So now dealing with this pressure, face on, and pressure that I give myself. And the thought when she asked me, did someone say something? Have you been given any type of feedback regarding your performance in these different roles? And when I said no, she said, okay, well, when this feeling of irritability comes, first recognize it and take yourself away, because that's the only way that I know how to process it, is to walk away. Do you ever hate how fucking weak you are? That's what it feels like. I fucking hate that I can't just handle life. Like, I hate that. Like, get your shit together, buck up, and get to work. Like, that is like my internal dialogue. Because I'm so goddamn blessed. And I am. Like, that's the thing, is I see how blessed I am. So maybe that's part of the issue, is lack of self-compassion. Oh, good God. I think I feel like I should control a lot in my life. The Serenity Prayer and being raised in a very strict religion. I'm not going to say a strict family. I freaking love my family, and it is a huge reason why I've been able to seek some freedom in my own belief system, is because of the love and support that I'll always have from them. But regardless, very rigid belief system that there's one way of thinking, and it was true. Like, it, not like we believe, but like, I know that this is true, was repeated on the daily basis, and that fucks with you. So being raised in that one way of thinking mentality, I don't know where I was going with that, but there is like this belief that I should be able to control everything, that I should be able to, like, if you just change your thought process, if you just pray, if you just do this, like, everything's fine. It feels like there should be a lot more in my control. I feel as if I put a lot more pressure on myself to control a lot more than what is like reality, right? Like, just control everything. I want to control everything. Good God, I want to control every fucking thing. And part of me thinks that I can. I guess the ego in me is like, yeah, if something's like, you can control anything. But I also think that it stems, when I was talking today to my on-call therapist, I'm going to call her, she was awesome. But when I talked about the feeling of control and how this pressure to be a certain way and to control these certain things in my life, a childhood memory came up that is hard to share, but it feels as if it's a huge piece in my puzzle. And it's hard to share because trauma is often complicated. And the controller in me doesn't want to blame anyone else. And I'm not going to. But I will say that I think part of my issue of control, of wanting to control things, is having been put in a situation that no young soul should ever be put in. It's my earliest memory, so I'm pretty sure I was 5 or younger, is what I remember and recall. But I was in a compromised situation, and an adult had walked in on this compromising situation with another, was her son, who was my uncle. And it's hard because details evade you, and every time we tell ourselves a story or reminisce, it becomes layered trauma, and things can change. So I do come with a sense of this might not be the story for the other two people involved in this. But what I remember feeling regardless is being looked at and told, why did you let this happen? Not the 28-year-old, but the 5-year-old. Hadley, why did you let this happen? And I think from that moment, I felt there was so much responsibility on my shoulders that even the bad things that happen to me don't happen to me. I probably had something to do with it. And then you add on the layer of religion that teaches you, if you choose the right, your life will be great. Another layer of control. If bad things happen to me, A, what did I do to deserve it? Must have done something. And B, I could have, should have controlled the situation from happening. So I guess today I'm really sitting with the thought process that maybe that is where my level of control started. Fast forward 12 years after that, my mom getting cancer and me not being able to control that diagnosis, is when my eating disorder started. That was 20 years ago. And anyone that knows anything about eating disorders, is a lot of it has to deal with control. And I definitely don't think I blamed myself for my mom's diagnosis or anything like that. But I think it was something in my life I couldn't control. So I was trying to find something I could, because once again, I think I have this, and this is all I thinks, and these are all just my thoughts and ramblings of a addict who's trying to process 35 years of life now, with lots of fucking emotions and lots of responsibility. And but I think that level of, I guess, just recognizing, I feel like I should be controlling a lot more in my life than what I maybe should be. And there's probably a lot more that I need to give up to a higher power than what I am. And there's a lot that I probably can't change, but I want to believe that I can. So it adds to that pressure. And I just have a lot that I need to work through, but I do think it stems from this pressure that I feel to control everything in my life. And that's never the way it was supposed to be, I don't think. So here is to recognizing when my irritability is humming in the background, and when that hum starts to get really high. Recognizing that, taking a step back, taking a step, not just a step back, but a step away, literally disconnecting. Disconnecting, and then coming to that irritability with curiosity, and trying to label the emotion, which is usually irritability and agitation and pure fucking frustration. But coming to it with, okay, what triggered this? Is it I didn't get my kids to school on time, and so now I'm feeling guilty? But really being able to, I guess, identify where that irritability came from, how it how it's impacting the pressure I'm feeling in the moment. And then recognizing, is it something I can control, should control, or is it something I can give up to my higher power? And I come back to the serenity prayer of God, which is hard for me to say, higher power, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So that is my thoughts right now on the pressure that I always feel to some degree, and trying to work through that, the agitation that it ends up producing, and that agitation leads to unhealthy behaviors and lots of things. But making space for a different routine and a different coping mechanism, knowing that right now in my life, as I adapt to sobriety and adapt to this, I'm just going to need more time than what I've had before, and I'm going to need more self-compassion. Because I don't just cut out drinking and now can take on the world. It's actually the opposite. I've cut out drinking, and now it feels like I don't know how to take on the world. But drinking will kill me. It will drive me to an early grave. So here is to the step of recognizing that I can't be the person that I want to be, and I can't show up for the people that I love the way that I want to until I adapt to a new way of being and gain some clarity and some healthier coping mechanisms and work through non-productive thought processes, patterns of behavior, and whatnot. Here's to day 40 sober.